Hey guys, Tom here with Permaculture Wilmington, and today we're harvesting some compost. So we've got a compost bin that's been going for about a year now, and we were growing tomatoes in it and some squash and some pretty hungry plants. And now we had it over here in this big one, and then we turned it and let it reduce. So we filled this up, and it's since shrank about 12 inches and it just really broken down so well that we are now going to put it in our beds and start growing some winter vegetables. But it's a deep, rich brown. There's worms in it. You know, all good signs, guys. Moisture content is good. It's nice and moist, not too moist though. It does have some organic matter that's a little big in it still. I think that's a woody piece of wood, possibly. But couple in there, but I didn't sift it through this at all, guys. I'm just going to spread this out on my garden bed that we have out by the sidewalk, and we're going to use that to grow some salads, some lettuces, and probably a couple brassicas here and there over the winter. Alright guys, but this is harvesting compost and what it should look like. You know, this is broken down completely. You know, all things in life want to get to their smallest the molecules want to break down into their smallest life form, which is crystal. So everything wants to eventually get to its crystal form, but to break it down along the way, we can steward the process and help it along by layering carbon and nitrogen and incorporating things like worms and nematodes and black soldier fly larvae. You know, just help the process along. So this is the big bin. I'm standing in the one that I was just showing you. And I've filled it up with yard debris, and then I took the top of this pile, you can see, and folded it over on top of the yard debris that we collected from cleaning out the beds and getting some of our beds ready to plant for winter. So what we did was this was full of good compost, and we put the good compost down on the beds, and then I meant to get straw at the store, the farm store, and forgot to, and it's Sunday so we can't go get it today. But we had Jess had brought home some paper shavings that she got from work that's been shredded. So we used that to protect the compost we put out from light, because we did it in the morning and then it got real bright today. So we didn't want to hurt the microbiology, and we wanted them to be covered up, and it's not like a moisture barrier. So I think this will act really well, this paper, because it's just wood pulp, you know, that's all paper is. So that's going to be a good mulch for the top of that to protect it until I can get some straw in a couple days. And that actually, we might just leave that. But the problem with paper is it mats down, and when it rains it kind of forms like a cake layer on top. So it's good to put straw, at least a little bit of straw on top of that, just to kind of break it up and keep it from pounding and matting together so hard when it rains from the raindrops falling on it. But that's what we're up to, guys. So just taking this big pile and putting it in here right now, and then I think I'm going to have basically half the bottom half of this is going to be good compost. So you can see it's breaking up really well. There's some corn mixed in still. There was some corn on top. That's what happened, and it fell down as I was digging. But you know, it's a couple bags that we had that got left in the garage. But you can see how well this is breaking down. I mean, it looks like soil. So we're there, guys. We're making soil. So a lot of stuff hasn't broken down still, but again, like as I was digging, stuff fell down into the pile as well, deeper. But if I dig down here, let's see, pull up a handful. I mean, that actually looks just like soil, like it has some sand mixed into it or something. But I didn't put any sand in here, so that's just organics that have broken down, and some cardboard. You can see some straw still there, and a little, looks like some of the ferns that I put in here for magnesium. So you can look at each individual ingredient you put in, all the yard debris, as nutrition if you know what's in them. So but things like ferns are really good, and palms are good for magnesium. You know, nitrogen's like, you put a lot of grass in, you get a lot of nitrogen, that kind of stuff. This is all the items that did not get fully decomposed. So there's really not that much. It's just basically a couple sticks that I had thrown in, and you know, they're not very big either, so I was actually expecting them to be decomposed because it's been since January and it's now October, about the middle of October. So I thought in that amount of time that these would be gone, but they're still here. They were in the bottom, so that let me know where the bottom was. That was a nice little indicator anyway. So yeah, but just a few pieces of cardboard on the sides. There was a little bit of plastic from some boxes that I found, just some strips like this, you know, tape that didn't come off the boxes that did not break down, and the sticks here. So that's it. Alright guys, we've got some straw to put on our compost. So I've already got some compost out, and I layered it with a little paper, so you can see some shredded paper, and then I put another layer on top because we had a lot more compost than I thought we did. And we had so much compost, actually we've already got it in all the beds that are out here, and then I ended up with a lot more, so I filled up a bunch of pots. Yeah, so we got a good amount of compost to use now. So very excited about that, but we got to keep it covered, so we decided to get some straw since it's so cheap from the farm store this morning, and it was like $4.50 a bale. So you know, that covers a lot of ground in terms of just keeping light off the soil and adding a little bit of nutrition as it breaks down throughout the winter. So it actually adds some nutrition for the microorganisms on top. But yeah, so we've got all these seedlings that we're going to be putting out and planting in all the compost that I showed you, in all these little beds around here. So alrighty, and I'll show you over here. This is what we're doing now. So I've already got a whole bunch of leaf litter in the bottom of this bin, and I put some cow manure on top of that, and then I put some of the compost that was in the big bin on top of that. So we're actually going to be using this to plant in over the next couple months over winter, and then all the stuff that's on the bottom, in the middle and on the bottom, is going to be breaking down while we're growing things on top of it. So very excited about that. It's worked out really well this summer growing squash and tomatoes. And this is the big bin that you saw previously, and it is completely empty now. There may be a bucket or two of some compost in the bottom that I was going to try to get today, and just maybe put in some pots like you saw. So but yeah, it's pretty much done though. We're all the way down just past the bottom. But you know, while this is fermenting and composting down, all the fermented juices are going with gravity downward. So like all the soil that's beneath this, that was like just sandy spottisol type soil under pine trees, that's what we have above us here. So and in eastern North Carolina, very sandy loam. But this was pretty much just sand for the most part, and it is now, you can see how dark it is. I mean, it is just wonderful. I'll climb in there and show you guys, but so as we pull the dirt back here, the soil actually, you can see, but you know, what was once sandy is just magnificent. I mean, that is outstanding soil to grow in, and it is not black. It is more of like a deep rich brown. So guys, this is what you want to be growing your vegetables in. So I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more of this up before I put in all of our scraps and start a whole new pile. I've got some buckets of what was that, coffee grounds. So a couple buckets of coffee grounds, and I'm going to be getting a couple piles of manure. So actually it's some fresh compost that I've made that isn't quite composted fully yet, but it's about, I'd say 3/4 of the way through the process of composting. I was doing the Berkeley method, but I've decided to use that to basically inoculate this pile and to add the manure in to get the temperature up a little bit so it cooks a little faster. So the great thing about perennial ground cover, and this is mint around some nettle, stinging nettle, this is popolo and basil coming up, and the good thing about this perennial ground cover is that it sends out all these rhizomes in the soil, so when we're putting out compost we don't have to worry about it so much because it's come back. All we got to do is dump that bucket right out on top of it and spread it around, and literally not even worry about the ground cover, the mint, because it will send out even more plants as it comes up from the runners that are going to turn in the shoots that we're covering right now are going to turn into runners, and then they're going to send up even more shoots at that point. So it's going to be this huge network of mint under this area. Some people would say that's a bad idea if you don't have a lot of space, but this is in the middle of our yard, so it can grow around a lot of directions. I think this is a good spot for it. So I hope you're doing well, and I just wanted to give you a little update here. But that's what's going on as far as the hilltop garden with Permaculture Wilmington. And that's me, Tom Sapp. Hope you're having a good day.